What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So what's going on? We're taking a look at Bitcoin here and a few other things. We do have a couple assets moving on the week's platform here, as Unite is, as the altcoin is up 42%, Zcash up 40%, SQD's up 28%, and then Cheems is up 25%. We'll take a look at those here in a second. Let's go ahead and get the Bitcoin outlook out of the way. Bitcoin looks pretty good. It had a pretty substantial pullback the other day, and as of right now, it looks to be holding daily support. We were watching daily support yesterday, and basically it traded down to it and held so far. That is also where the current October volume weighted average price is sitting, delineated by the blue line, and then today's intraday volume weighted average price right here. So Bitcoin found support here at the daily level and has been pushing up pretty much all morning. The VIX is, well, yesterday it had a really good down day. It did reject, let me go ahead and put you up there real quick. It did reject the yearly opening range, which is the level we've been watching all year. Had a nice push down, which is what we want to see if we do want to see risk markets and Bitcoin move to the upside. S&P had a really good day yesterday, making fresh all-time highs. And then right here is your futures chart on the ES futures. You can see it is pushing up here from the daily open. So we'll see if things want to remain bullish today or not. The DXY is pushing back to the upside, and for whatever reason, Bitcoin and the S&P seem to like that. But here's Bitcoin. There's that daily open test, and it's a good looking day right now. We'll see if the sellers come back in here or not. Right here, you are currently testing a daily supply zone. So I imagine some sellers are going to be trying to jump on that for that setup. I do not like Bitcoin to the downside as long as the VIX is pushing back down away from that yearly open range. And my main reasoning right here is going to be based on the Japanese yen. As Japan had an election, we're going to get a new prime minister over there, and they hit the yen hard. The yen is considered a risk-on, risk-off currency. Whenever markets are doing bad, the yen usually spikes. Whenever markets are doing good, the yen usually falls down. Right now, it's falling down, and it's falling down hard. It's doing a fantastic short squeeze right now. These are my bullish reasoning for looking for support on Bitcoin. So longer term here, I mean, I don't like it testing the weekly open, so I'm not looking to be a buyer right here because this is the level at which it could find resistance today. As you can see here on the weekly chart, you are just a doji, so that is where resistance could be today. So be careful if you're looking for longs on Bitcoin when the bell rings, when the New York session opens up. That's pretty much where we're standing here. We want to see daily support hold, as that's where we were looking for longs, and we'll see what happens after that. And that's pretty much it as far as today goes for Bitcoin. Long term, Bitcoin looks really good. It came down, the weekly 21 exponential moving average was down here. So Bitcoin, in a sense, tested the weekly exponential here. It got a nice bounce for September. So the first 3 weeks of September, Bitcoin just traded straight up, essentially, as right here is your September open. You put in the monthly low and then instantly went into a bullish phase for the next 3 weeks. Went up there, set the monthly high for September, and then pulled back. It came back down and retested the weekly 21 exponential again, delineated by this orange line. It was down here. As you can see, it pushed up hard. And then we had October's open. And now for the entire month of October, Bitcoin has literally just been going up. That was the first red day all month. So not really terrible, right? There is a 3-drive topping formation here. So this is also known as a Wyckoff distribution formation. We do not want to see this hold. We do want to see Bitcoin break out and continue higher from this point. That is what our long-term bias is. Basically, all year, we've had a $140 to $180 per Bitcoin price target for the end of year 2025. We are in Q4. This is the beginning of Q4, and we want to see Q4's bullishness stay intact. And if it does, then it should find support. You should be looking to be a buyer at high or low support levels, being a BTFD person, and you got to be looking for those support zones. If Bitcoin loses the daily support right here, and if it loses October's VWAP, the next level of potential support that I will be looking for is the highest weekly close. It's a previous high week close. It's obviously we closed a new fresh high week close last week, but this was the one that we had before that. So this is the price at which I would be looking for support if we reject the weekly open today. So if we reject the weekly open today and we trade back down under daily support, the next potential area of support is going to be in this area, because this is where your daily 21 exponential moving average is. So basically what the buyers have done for the month of October and the end of September, beginning October, they bought the weekly 21 exponential. It got a nice big bullish boost. Then it settled down right here at the October open. And right in here's where the daily 21 exponential was. So they bought the weekly, then they bought the daily, and now here we are up at fresh all-time highs. That is a nice bullish reaction going into Q4. So far, everything looks really good. Let's go real quick, because the first portion of this video is obviously going to be the Bitcoin long-term analysis. I know, bright screen, I should have warned you in advance. So last week, or the beginning for October, here you can see that they were buying hard. They were buying real hard. Last week, your inflows for Bitcoin ETFs, that's basically what this is, was going up almost every single day. So here you had 429, then the next day 675, 625, and then we finished the week out at 985. So you can actually see that demand coming into the ETFs. That's a bullish, it's bullish price action. It's what we want to see. However, this week we opened up very strong, coming out the gate hard with 1200 on there. That's the biggest number we've seen in the last several weeks, probably a couple months actually. And then now this week you can see they are lightening up the boat here a little bit. And then yesterday was a fairly light day, back down to 440. So it makes sense, since the ETF bids are slacking up here this week, it makes sense that we're seeing Bitcoin pull back this week. So this daily support might not hold today, right? You basically buy the support when it's testing the support, and then you just mitigate your risk. So that way, if you're wrong, you don't lose a lot, and then you can look to be a buyer lower. That's basically what you want to do in a bullish market. You want to be a trend follower. That is the proven profitable strategies all over this market. People have been making money being a trend follower forever. And right now, Bitcoin's trend is up. It's up on the year. It's up on the month. It's just up. So you should be looking to be a dip buyer, especially as long as the VIX is closing dailies under that 1721 spot. That is the yearly opening range. All right, so that's that for Bitcoin. Let's go ahead and move on to Ethereum real quick. Ethereum does not look as good as Bitcoin. Why is that? Well, the main reason is going to be dominance. Bitcoin is super strong. It's super dominant. So you could have people rotating capitals from Ethereum to Bitcoin, trying to catch the Bitcoin breakout, because Bitcoin really hasn't had a breakout yet this year. Bitcoin's basically been trading, inside the yearly range all year long, and each time it has broken out and made fresh all-time highs, which I believe has happened 3 to 5 times this year. Bitcoin's made fresh all-time highs and rejected. It hasn't been able to get that big bullish sustained move. So people may be rotating capital out of Ethereum back into Bitcoin in anticipation of a sustained bullish rally eventually coming in this quarter sometime or starting next year. The Fed is positioned to be cutting interest rates. That is a bullish market environment. But we'll see if Ethereum can find support right here today. It is under the daily support level. This would have been the daily support level, or the same level that we would have expected Ethereum to find support. As long as dominance is strong. Right here is the dominance chart. You can see just how strong it is today. This could put pressure on altcoins, right? Your meme tokens and whatnot. That's why you're seeing them down. So basically what we've been seeing pretty much all year is whenever Ethereum has, a nice big bullish move, some of your meme tokens, Penguin, Fartcoin, Bonk, those things were going up. Now that Ethereum is pulling back, those things are pulling back. But we are testing the daily 21 exponential today on Ethereum, so we'll see what it does today. All right. If I were to go intraday and look for a support to watch, there really isn't anything to watch intraday here. I would probably watch this closed price on the last 4-hour candle. That was a breakdown expansion to the downside candle. So basically, I do not want to see prices trading under that price. If prices are moving under there, then I would not be a buyer, because then you would be threatening making a fresh daily low. There's your daily low right now on Ethereum. So sell side pressure on Ethereum, hence another reason why I wouldn't necessarily want to be a buyer on Bitcoin up here at the weekly open, because Ethereum is seeing a little bit of sell side pressure today. All right, so there's that. We have a trade on Lyft that we're, still holding. We were getting ready to get out of it on this day, and then we were going to look to position ourselves a little bit lower, but it ended up closing above the daily 21 exponential moving average right here. So I'm still holding that position. This looks like a bull flag. We want to see if it's going to stay acting like a bull flag, and right now it is. It's having an inability to close dailies under the 21, which suggests demand is coming up higher on Lyft. We're just setting in a call spread. A call spread makes it a little bit easier to mitigate risk. This is a slow moving, cheap stock. So it's really easy basically just to set in along and see what happens with it. We've got plenty of time left on those options before expiration, so we're not worried about that. But what we would like to see here on Lyft is a breakout and then a sustained rally, or, at least a few days worth of a short squeeze. And, we'll see what happens there. On the Forex front, we do have a short on pound dollar because we're expecting dollar strength to continue. And I was looking at USD Swiss franc here. So if you are familiar with Forex, the Japanese yen, also not just being a risk on risk off currency, it's also been bought for the last several years based on the carry trade, based on a high or a wide interest rate differential. Well, that interest rate differential is getting lower now that we are cutting rates and the BOJ is hiking rates. However, when we were looking for this to break down below this bear flag here, it did not. It traded under it, rejected, and then broke out to the upside. So this is currently why we have a dollar bullish bias right now, because the weakness in the yen could put that pressure back on to the dollar. Well, if we go look real quick over here at the interest rate yield curves, you can see that I have USD and Switzerland pulled up here. This interest rate curve differential is wide. It's currently setting at 4.25%, whereas the interest rate differential between the US and the Japanese yen is setting at 4%. Now, let me be clear. The Swiss franc is a lot less liquid than the Japanese yen, and that is probably why the USD JPY is the preferred asset for carry trade individuals. So we could see the USD JPY stay long and strong based on the carry. That's good for risk markets, but we could also see people start to position themselves in the US Swiss franc based on this wide interest rate differential. Now, the yen has over $1 trillion daily volumes. The Swiss franc sets at about 300 billion, so it's way less liquid. So it might not get affected. It has not, let me just say it like that. It has not been affected by the carry trade as much as the USD JPY has. So this is all your carry trade right in here, all of this growth. And then if we go look at the USD Swiss franc, you can see it has not been experiencing any growth from the carry, even though the carry is super wide. So right now, let me get this on forex.com real quick. So right now, what I'm watching on the USD Swiss franc is if it can stay above September's open moving on here on the smaller time frames. Right now, you can see here on the daily, we are structured bearish as far as your moving average structure goes. 200's above the 100, 100 above the 50, yada yada. 21's down here though. So if the bulls can continue to push above the September open, I want to hold long positions on USD Swiss franc because of the carry trade. So I did short the USD JPY, two non-farm payroll, well, one non-farm payroll print ago, where we were supposed to get another one last Friday, but we didn't get it based on the government shutdown. However, as long as there's a wide interest rate differential, I want to be holding long USD Swiss franc, because if it can just stay above the September open, then I'll make money simply from the carry. Like the longs get paid to hold longs right now. So that's what I want to do with the USD Swiss franc. I lost a lot of profits on USD JPY when I was holding it short, looking for the trend to continue. So this whole time I shorted it here. The whole time it stayed in this sideways consolidation, or this chop slop is what it really is. I was losing money on a daily basis based on the carry trade. So even though I was setting in profits because the asset was not trending, I was paying the longs. So this is what I want to do. I want to do that, only get paid to hold the long if I want to hold long dollar positions, and then get paid to carry. All right. So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for long USD Swiss franc for the carry, as long as it's trading above 0.80071. That is September's open. You could potentially look for longs as low as the 21 daily exponential. That's coming in around 79,771. Anything below that, and I would not be holding longs, period. It's that simple, because this thing is trending down. It's in a downtrend. Right now, it's in a long-term chop. It's what? I would say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months. It's been basically trading sideways. This was your last expansionary candle. Then you went into sideways consolidation. So this is the range you're currently trading in. We want to see it break out of this range. But it's a big range. It's a very, very large range. So I'm going to manage my risk from this point. I could, in theory, think about a long down here if it does stop me out of this first position. So this first long attempt, if I lose this trade, I will revisit a potential long scenario back down here, only if it stays above this price. So I would not be interested in buying it again at the 21 myself, right? You can if you want, but for myself, I'm going, if we break down below this price, the only other price I'd be interested in holding longs is if price can maintain I don't care if it's sideways even, right? As long as it can stay above 79,310, because like I said, I can make money on the carry, and I'm okay with doing that. We can make money in the markets, whether they're trending up, trending down, or trading sideways. It's a fantastic business to be in. So yeah, that's good stuff. Let's go look at Fartcoin as it was down. Let me get rid of all these indicators here briefly. Give me 1 second. So we shorted it up there. We made that money. I closed that trade down the day before yesterday, and I didn't jump into a new trade yesterday because I kind of figured it would be sideways to up all day. it was pretty much sideways to up all day. Today, though, we have it's different, right? So basically what I'm going to look for today is if Fartcoin cannot, we might have missed the entry already on Fartcoin with my long-winded Bitcoin analysis and other analyses, but if we can jump back up here at the bell and reject this price, I could put on a new short on Fartcoin. Even though I have a bullish Bitcoin bias, a bullish risk on bias. If Ethereum wants to stay weak today, and if dominance wants to stay firm today, then I want to be holding Fartcoin shorts at 65.44 and under. So this is where I'd be looking for the short scalp entry. But I'm going to wait to see if it rejects these prices first, because we're down trading at the low of the day. All right, your daily open is over here, right there. That is your daily opening candle. So as you can see, you have been trending down all day, making fresh daily lows after fresh daily lows. So by getting short down here, we are shorting the bottom half of the daily range. And just to put in fresh day lows would only be a 2.8% move. So not the greatest trade setup right now. So let's go look at Pingu. Pingu doing something similar, but as you can see with Pingu, at least, let me go make sure. Yes, I did. I wanted to make sure that I moved the daily 21 EMA line, and I did. The daily 21 is coming in at 31,233. That's where we are here. So as of right now, Pingu is currently trying to reject the daily 21 exponential moving average. So this is a shortable position. I don't love the setup, but that would be a similar setup to Fartcoin if we were looking for the short to come in here. I think with Pingu, I would rather look for the short rejection at this current 4-hour structure swing high. That puts me pretty much right on the 21. The 200 is up here on the 5-minute. So I guess technically speaking, as long as we're not closing 5-minute candles above 31,561, we could enter shorts up as high as that. Let's go analyze what we're looking for, or what we're looking like here on the volume. The volume actually looks better for longs, but my rules-based strategy tells me I can't look for longs on this. Not while it's trading under that 21. And not while the Ethereum has a weak daily range. So we'll revisit this one a little bit later. And then ultimately, I did buy this. This is going to be Cheems USDT. I pulled up all the top movers. And this morning, I noticed that 4-hour support was right here. So basically what I was watching as price pushed down into this area this morning, I was watching the previous 4-hour swing low under 4-hour support for my entry. That is basically where I got long, right here. Right here. So the other thing that I noticed, if I pull this over right here and only show you this, this is the current day's range. So the day open to where we are right now. This is the level that I like longs from. This is 4-hour support. As long as it can stay trading above this, I'm going to hold longs. This is a big mover. I have already taken profits on this trade when we pushed up into the previous day's close here. That is the today's open. But I wanted to take profits. So basically I got long here, and as it pushed up into resistance, or what I know could have been resistance, I took profits. And I'm glad I did, because it wasn't but 10 minutes later it rolled over and started to come back down to my entry. Once again, my entry is here, the white line. That's the 4-hour swing low. This is 4-hour support. But what caused us to look for this trade was the diverging signal on the cumulative volume delta. Basically, what this infers is if you're putting in fresh swing lows on delta, but making higher lows on price. So from this swing low to this swing low, that is a higher low on price delineated by the trend line. And you can see that it is a clear lower low on delta. This, the meaning or the reasoning behind this is because you are seeing heavy market sells come into the market. Essentially, people hitting the sell button with the market orders. Boom, 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 selling it. But since price is unable to make fresh lows with that sell side pressure, it could infer that there is a buyer down there soaking up all those sells. And if that happens, you will sometimes see a short squeeze come out of that because the selling pressure was heavy. You're under the zero line here. I like to look at it on the 5-minute chart. You're under the zero line, which indicates it's the delta is way more selling than buying. But because it's making higher lows with price, you've got someone down there essentially soaking up all those sell orders. So every time those market sells come in, there's a limit buy getting filled. Boom, 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 boom. And that creates that higher low. And we took along on one of these big movers yesterday because it was doing pretty much the same thing. It ultimately worked. Now, you're not going to make money on every single delta divergence, but it is a pretty decent signal to look for longs. Now, yesterday I did not make money. We spotted the divergence before it happened. We did take the trade, but I got wicked out. A flash wick came in, stopped me out, and then it rallied right after that. So this time I had my stop a little bit lower to basically, I didn't want that to happen again. And as you can see, man, this thing is literally rocking and rolling right now. It is a fast mover. It is right now up 27% from my entry. So yeah, it's doing good. I entered these with a very small amount of capital because if they start to go crazy like this, you can make quite a bit of money pretty quickly. So if you're going to trade these things, you just made a fresh day high. Be very careful. This could dump now. All right. Be very careful trading these. These things moves so much. Very, very risky assets. But yeah, it's moving. While I'm running my gums, it's moving. I didn't even get to enter a new position, which sucks. So we'll keep this one on watch, and then we will watch any other big movers. Let's go ahead and put you up there on the big screen so you can essentially see the watch list. Basically, all we're doing is we're waiting for this scanner to start picking up big movers. Right now, this is your biggest mover on this platform. You may have, if you're trading on a different platform for your altcoins, you may have on your watch list a different one that's moving more. But on this platform, Weeks, this is the top mover on the day. So it's up 38%. It's only has 43,000 tokens traded in a 24-hour period. That isn't something I trade. That's way too thin. That's way too dangerous. Way too dangerous. So basically you can see Cheems here. It's got 771 million tokens traded, so it's a heavier float. A lot more people trading this thing than people trading this thing. And that's what I want to find. I want to find the ones that a lot of people are jumping onto, because when you have that, you just get these big moves, right? It's just like penny stock scalping, only we're scalping quick moving alts. All right. But here's the position. It's not a lot of money. Like I said, I opened the position with $100 when it pushed up into daily resistance, which was the previous day's close. I had a profit target setting up there. I took $133 of profit off the table, and then I was waiting for it to pull back. And I was looking to re-enter again. So we may have to keep looking for that here. But basically, here's the entry. You can see how when this candle pushed down into that swing low right there, I wanted to take entry there. Now I will be watching this price moving forward. So if it could pull back down to here and hold, then I will re-enter again with another $100 for any potential upside explosion. These things can move hundreds of percents in a day. So be ready. Trade small. That way your stop loss, when you get filled on the stops, you don't lose a lot of money, right? That's risk management. That's 101. That's how we make money. We can't predict what price will do. The only thing we can manage is how much we lose. And by having strategies in place, trend following systems and this and that, it allows us to get in these positions to take these opportunities to make money. So yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. We'll see what happens here. But I will keep that on watch to see if anything starts to move again and for another scalp. Because if we get another big mover pop up on this scanner, then we'll know that it's moving and we'll look for our trade. So hopefully everybody's having a fantastic week. It's been a pretty okay week. It was a little slow yesterday, but it's been an okay week. I can't complain. Good morning, Paper Wiggleman, Lifestyle Media, The Agile Trader, Janet's thoughts on Wes, Pants check. Pants check. We're good. Look at that delta. Absolutely disgusting. Huge selling pressure coming in here. If this thing doesn't roll over, this thing's probably going to squeeze hard today. Probably going to squeeze hard AF. So yeah, this is my favorite one right now because it is moving. All right, 18%. That is not bad. I wish I would have held that position, obviously, but I never know what's going to happen with these things. It could have just as easily traded right back down here and stopped me out. It came really close. I mean, that's too close for comfort for me. And then, then you get this gigantic move here. So this is going to invoke a lot of emotion. So anybody that didn't participate in the buys down here, they're going to be looking to buy it around the day high. This is yesterday's high. So we've liquidated today and yesterday all in one go. And the all-time high, yeah, that's still left on the table. I don't see a little dinosaur here, so I don't know if that's all the data. It's all the data this exchange has of it. But yeah, that all-time high is setting up there around 218E5. That's because this thing is this is futures contract perpetual swap. It's grouped in by 1,000 tokens. So 1,000 tokens of this is one contract. On my exchange, it's 0.0000000019916. Lot of zeros. This thing is absolutely worthless. It's just like bonk. Absolutely worthless. So when it does go, it'll probably go fast and hard to the downside. But we know someone's manipulating this thing. That's why it's on the moving list. That's why we want to trade it. If they want to manipulate it, that's fine with us. We look to participate in the big squeeze. And right now that big squeeze is to the upside. So squeezing those shorts hard. Pound Aussie short is playing out. Look at Pound Aussie if you can. I can pull it up right here. I didn't take the Pound Aussie trade. I took the Pound Dollar trade yesterday. We took this one live. It's working out pretty good. I don't see any reason to close it. So yeah, I mean, if we get that dollar strength, I do assume it's going to help pound get weak. GBP/AUD. Let's pull that one up. Yeah, that one's breaking down harder today. Is there Aussie strength that I don't know about? Let's pull up the currency futures watch list here and just look at which ones are bigger movers. So Swiss franc a little bit weak today, which is good. DXY up. That's good. So the Swiss dollar, if it stays like that, will continue moving up. Yeah, Aussie's up 0.27%. Aussie's actually up more than everything else. It is the biggest mover on the day as far as upside is concerned. And then pound is weak right there. You can see it's down 0.14%. So as long as Aussie stays strong and pound stays weak, then pound Aussie should stretch for those new lows, which it is doing. This thing is trending, and it has been trending down since July. So July took out June's low, closed under it. You had a resistance test in August, traded right up there to that monthly res, found a little bit of rejection after it took out July's high in the month of August. But that would have been the absolute perfect spot for shorts. Absolute flawless place to look for shorts in hindsight. Obviously, on that day, it wouldn't have been so easy, but it is something that we look for, so it is a position that we might have taken depending on the rejection. And you did get it the next day. So that would have been a fantastic place to look for that short entry. And right now, Q4 is opening up weak and heading lower. Love it. I love it. I like it lower. It's trending lower. Last month was a trending month. It was a breakdown trending month. So as long as last month's midpoint stays intact, looks good for a lower price. So that's basically what I'd be watching all this month. Any pullbacks up into this midpoint here and rejection, I would be willing to short. Pound Aussie. That is, of course, as long as you have dollar strength. If the dollar ultimately finds resistance on this push up, then obviously that could affect the weakness in the pound. But right now, the DXY is currently breaking out of a descending wedge. These patterns are usually looked at for bullish breakout potential. And you are right now trying to break out today. Yesterday, you tried to break out and failed. Today, it looks like you're trying to keep that going. So buyers buying up the dollar here. Buying up the dollar. So we did have a weak dollar bias. Our bias on the dollar was bearish. It still is bearish based on the macro fundamentals. All right, the macro fundamentals say the dollar should be weak, but the asset is saying something else. The asset is moving up, even though it should be weak. So as long as price is moving higher, we have to have a bullish dollar bias because that's what price is doing. All right. So as long as that is happening, we have to be bullish the dollar. This is a technical pattern. So the technicals are screaming, this looks like it wants to go higher. Could it reject now that it's took out yesterday's high? It could. Would I be shorting that? No. I'm looking to generally trade with the trend. Right now, the trend is trying to break out. Now, if it fails here for a couple days and then breaks back down into this wedge, then we can look to shift our focus back to the macro side and look for dollar shorts. But if it breaks out here, you're going to want to be holding dollar longs. So I've got that through USD Swiss franc right now based on that carry trade, and I have a short dollar or short pound dollar position open. So we are trying to take part in this dollar move here, which could in next week or the week after that have a gigantic short squeeze, because the macro still supports the weak dollar. You know people are shorting this today. You know they are. I would be if it wasn't breaking out of a bullish technical pattern. So this down here would have been, this is basically what changed my bias on the dollar. I still had a short side bias through here. When it could not break down, I had to change my bias. I wanted to see it break down here. It could not. So we were looking at this as a potential, just a quick little short squeeze or a rip your face off rally just to smoke all of these shorts. Once you got those people out, pull back and go back into the trend. That isn't what happened. That is not what happened here. It built in support, held, and then now is breaking out to the upside. If you want to hold on to that dollar short bias based on the macro, based on interest rates being cut and all of that stuff, then this could be a good place to look for shorts as long as you're rejecting yesterday's high. But right now, you're not rejecting yesterday's high. You did reject yesterday's high, but now you're going back. So it looks like it wants to make another run or another go up here. It could reject here, and this is where you could mitigate that risk. You could simply look for shorts here, put your stop there. Very little capital on the line for something like that, because if it does get up above that, it's likely going to go there. But if it does break out strong today, I would not be looking for shorts on the dollar anytime soon. Next area to liquidate is going to be August's high. And that's going to be right there. So you can see you're already trading well above September's high here. So as of right now, on a 2-month basis, you are trending higher. You made fresh lows and rejected and took out those highs. So the next bullish target would be all the way up there. Now there is a midpoint and a 618 in here from that August rejection, but I don't know how much resistance you're going to find there, based on the simple fact that there are no objective levels to watch. You know what I mean? Like if there was a monthly open or a monthly close or a monthly high here or something like that, then maybe I could tie those two things together and look for shorts. But yeah, right now it looks like the dollar wants to go up. And you do have a new quarter. So to me, that says a lot. 2 weeks into Q4 says a lot. And the dollar wants to run higher here in the face of interest rate cuts. It doesn't make sense, but it says a lot. All right, so Cheem's pulling back hard here. We're going to continue to watch this 4-hour support. If we break under it, then we don't like it higher. To be honest with you, I wouldn't like it if it lost the open of the candle it's currently working on. So I would like it to be able to stay above yesterday's close, and then the very lowest would be 171. Right here is where I would love to see it hold support. We don't want to see it retest the 200 EMA on the 5-minute. If it does, then it's basically lost all of its bullish momentum. It could hold, but generally when these things start to rip and go, they very seldom ever retest the 5-minute 200 exponential. Basically, we want to see it hold in here and stop going lower. This is heavy sell side. Heavy sell side. So right now, we have to kind of give respect to that. But if it fails to go lower, I will put more risk on this thing. Absolutely. Wes says nothing on the hourly chart on the DXY says short. No, nothing's. Right now, nothing says that. The macro is it. The macro is it. Starbucks here looking like it's trying to do a fresh breakdown of monthly support. Starbucks has been struggling. I want to look for shorts on Starbucks, but not today. So we're going to have to wait for Starbucks to pull back some. Yeah, if I could get a pullback back up into that 83 area and a rejection in there, I would look for shorts again on Starbucks. We're also watching UPS down here. UPS is an obvious short. I mean, it looks super weak, but it's been building in support for a long time. So if it can hold $82, we're going to be looking for this to go up. And then Circle, yesterday, or today even still, is building in what could be construed as a near-term bullish trade. I wouldn't want to see it taking out yesterday's low. But if it gets back down there, that might be the area to watch for bullish entries on Circle. If Bitcoin remains bullish, that could help Circle. Bitcoin is pulling back a little bit here. Risk market's getting hammered off the open. Here's your ES futures getting hammered. This is a 30-minute chart. But you are into a potential support zone. That's not much of a support. Damn it. It moved on me. Oh, I thought that was one of my lines. There's one of my lines. I don't know why it does that. This indicator makes it scrunch up like that. So we'll see if it can find resist or support here. I would want to see the VIX reject that up there at 1664. As long as it can reject there eventually today, then I might be able to get long the ES futures. But that is a lot of steam here. Previous days open could also be an area of potential support. Expected range high on it this week is 68.09. Expected range low 66.21. Now, yesterday was still an inside day on the VIX. So even though it was a nice breakdown, Tuesday's gigantic move higher is still intact, as you've not taken out that low. If we do get under that, my longer term target would be down here for that gap to fill, as that is pretty much an unfilled gap. And then you can see GLD pulling back today as well. Eventually GLD is going to pull back. This thing has been an absolute rocket ship since 325. I'm not looking for shorts on it. I'm just saying it's probably going to pull back soon. But Circle looks good. It looks like it's trying to break out here, as yesterday was a higher close than last Thursday's close. If it could hold the open of the day, then I don't think I would be too worried of it breaking down. Yeah, I love that retest of that. If that's got to hold for me, that's your intraday support. It wouldn't be intraday, it's a pre-market support. It would have been a good spot for bullish entries at the bell. If it comes back down to there, I don't think I could be a buyer unless it rejects that. Unless it literally refuses to go lower, then I could be a buyer. This thing, the options on it are super spready. I don't like the options on it. I don't even know why we've got it pulled up. We've got it pulled up because it looks like it's trying to go back into a bullish trend. But last time I looked at it, the spreads were nasty. Yeah, over $2 wide. Over $2 wide. I don't like trading things like that. Farcoin rolling over here, so not giving us that opportunity. Pingu not giving us that opportunity either to get short. Cheems, I don't know what this is, but Cheems trying to hold support here. Yeah, the 1 minute chart does not look that great. Afternoon, Oxum, how you doing, my friend? Nothing on the hourly chart on the DXY says a short. DXY August 18 weekly candle. High, look how it is trading above that. Ain't as short right now. Fresh highs, DXY. Yeah, DXY is pretty strong right now. Okay, here we go. Cheems breaking down. You try to put on a little bit here. Not a whole lot. Let me see. I don't want to take my cost basis all the way up to here. Let me just add a little bit. As it could be getting ready to drop off hard. It is a little bit difficult to get fills on this, so make sure you got phasers set to kill. In other words, market orders on exits. You can go in on limit, but you got to go out on fills. So you got to go out on market. It's a very illiquid asset. It's not I mean, it trades a lot of volume, but for whatever reason, it's difficult to catch those fills. And nothing else really. I mean, RFC popped up on the scanner. It did move up hard, but it's only got 172,000 tokens traded. But it's moving right now. It's just not something I trade. You can see how it's spiking right now. Boom. Just watching it move up the ranks, but it's so thinly traded. 173,000 tokens traded. Not something I love. SQD pushing up on highs. We need pullbacks. We can't just buy fresh highs. But damn it. Unite is actually pulling back right now. It's also got a funding rate set for longs. But it's every 4 hours, the funding rate, so it's not like, it's not a high funding rate at all. And it's a 15-minute chart. If this was a 4-hour chart, I would be looking to buy that. But it's not. We'll keep Cheems up here. The reason I'm keeping Cheems up is simply because it's got that strong sell side delta. And price is still not making fresh lows. That, to me, says a lot. I mean, it could, obviously, any minute now. This thing could put a 1-minute breakdown candle that goes all the way to zero. Crypto is super risky. Make sure that you have stops in place. At any second, this thing could cut loose to the downside. It's trying to hold the 1-minute 100 exponential. If it can hold this moving forward, then it could rally again. Because these people right here are going to be stuck. These hard sellers, they're selling on market. So they're afraid they've missed the short. So they're simply jumping in here. And that's what we want, because when those people start getting hammered on the shorts, that forces prices higher. But we could have already done the short squeeze. It could literally already be over. I wish it wouldn't have liquidated yesterday's high before pulling back. So we might have missed it. We'll see. It's okay if we did. What's your thoughts on Pump USDT? My thoughts on Pump USDT. Let's pull it up. Are you talking about pump.fun or just pump USDT? Because if I'm not mistaken, there are two of these things. Pump USDT and then pump.fun. No, okay. So this is pump.fun. The other one that I was thinking of is pump BTC, but that one already got killed. All right, this is it right here. What are my thoughts on it? Well, obviously it's an altcoin and it's a meme token, right? I mean, they simply named it pump because of the pump, or they wanted it to pump. I mean, there's a lot of people that trade it. There is, I'm sure, a community. I mean, they've got half a million followers on Twitter. So this was 1 hour ago, is up 16%. So there is heavier volume coming in today. The problem is that volume is coming in on a down day. So we know that heavier volume is sell side. Volume Delta says it's weak. To be fair, it's making a higher low. And you're not quite putting in a divergence yet, but you could be seeing a little bit of divergence there. Let's go on the 5 minute and check it out. I mean, this right here was a vicious move lower. Yeah, I'm not really seeing anything in the way of divergence. Not yet. You got to make a significant lower low here. And if that happens while price stays higher, then you could argue that you might see a little bit of a spike. But I wouldn't say like this is where it's going to turn around. There's only 2 months of data on this. You're trading down where it needs to find support, in my opinion. So this is the 786 down here. If it's going to continue to stay bullish, you definitely want to see this area hold as support. So I would watch 4-hour closures, and I would want to see them staying above 55.38. Any 4-hour closure under 55.38 suggests it's going lower. The sellers are still here. I don't love it. I would want to see it chop around here for a couple, 3, maybe 4 days. If it can stay chopping in this area for a few days, then you could argue and say it looks like people, at the very least, are closing up those shorts. Right? And if you get people starting to close up those shorts, then you could experience a dead cat bounce. But as of right now, that's all I would be doing. Like, I wouldn't be buying this just to participate on a dead cat bounce. Not until support holds. Then I could potentially participate in this for a dead cat bounce. But right now, it's literally trending. I mean, on the daily. Right now, intraday, it isn't trending lower yet. But it has been. Right? Here's your day open. So it's literally the Asian session, they hammered it. Asia sold it. Here's your London session open. London session, they hammered it. They sold it. But what's likely to carry on for New York? They're probably going to sell it. They're probably going to continue. With that being said, is there huge money in this thing? Probably not. It's probably mostly retail. Now, of course, the founders of the token, whoever invented the token and made it, the development team, they all hold a huge supply of this. So they're all your insiders, if you will. Those people that invented this token, that brought it into life. Those are your insiders. So whenever you see heavy sell side like this is driven from insider selling, not shorts. Not necessarily just shorts. This is actual selling. So the insiders held on to it while it pumped, and then they started to dump it. I mean, even on log, it looks bad. There's your ICO. They hammered it right back down. This would have been a dead cat bounce. And they're selling it again. You need all that sell side to quit before before this thing will bounce again. So we'll see where it starts to build in support. I wouldn't be taking opportunity or trying to take opportunities on it yet. It needs to chill. This is a very methodical sell algo running. It's like every swing eye has been sold into. So someone's just been hitting it hard. And whenever you see that, it's literal inside selling. Looks like pump.fun should be called dump.fun. The pump was fun while it lasted. It's been dumping a lot longer than it was pumping. Not necessarily something I want to buy. But it does move a lot, and it's got 3.17 million tokens traded in a 24-hour period. So there is heavier volumes in it today. But what they're not telling you is those volumes are to the sell side, more than likely. So you just got heavier sellers in it today. Yeah, be careful with it. It could hold support here. That's going to be that 4-hour close. That's where I would need to see support hold. You can see how 4-hour support built in here. And then it basically held, and then you rallied. I would need to see something like that, at least. It doesn't have to be that long. Like, that's multiple days. At least a couple days of that taking place. And then maybe I could look for a divergent signal or something like that. But for right now, I'd leave it alone. They sold it in Asia. They sold it in London. They're probably likely to continue that in New York. Especially if Bitcoin dominance stays strong. And it is. I mean, dominance is pushing on day highs right now. However, Bitcoin is rolling over. So the S&P had a really good day yesterday. And it's given almost a little bit over half of that back. So we have to see what the S&P is going to do here as well. Dollar fresh day highs, dollar pushing up on fresh day highs. USD Swissy pushing back up 2-day highs as well. Love it, because I'm long from down here at the September open. Absolutely phenomenal. Oh, caps. Yeah, let's see what happens with pump.USDT or pump USDT. Let's see if it can build in support. If it does, then maybe we could jump on it for a quick spike. I don't know if you're going to see that happen today, my friend. It could, but doesn't look great. This was it was such a hard buy, because anytime you see a fresh swing high put in like that and then an instant rejection, you just automatically assume price is going to continue lower. But for some reason on this, on Oanda, it's not. Yeah. This is where I bought it this morning. I was like, screw it. I don't want to really buy it here, but I'm going to. I'm glad I did. Boom. She be running. And the carry trade is good. That's a 35 pip move. That's a pretty good move on USD Swiss. The carry trade gonna pay me, hopefully. I don't know. You could call this a long-term descending wedge. A long-term. Oh, that's already busted out. That's already busted out. So now it's just range. Just a range. All right, watching previous. Okay, previous 4-hour low. Yep, you can watch that. You can watch that. And then if it fails to go lower than that, you could take a shot at it there. Absolutely. It's the 786 of last month's range. So in a sense, it literally needs to be where support builds in, or it's going for those monthly lows. Last month's lows, that's all-time lows. So if it doesn't hold here, this is the last line in the sand for the bulls. It's not an objective level. Well, it is an objective level. It's the 786 retracement of last month's range. But if you lose this area, then anybody holding longs from last month's open are going to just give up. They're going to be like, it's coming back, so I'm getting out. So you could see a pretty quick drop down to here. So you could watch that. If it fails to go lower than that point, then you could put on some risk there. Yeah. I wouldn't try at every single low moving forward. If it continues to make fresh lows, that would be it for me because of that 786. If it breaks down under this, I would not be buying it anymore until it builds in a multi-day support. But for just a random shot at it, absolutely, you can watch that. Heck yeah. Because if you're right, and it is the bottom, and people are stopping the shorts based on that, then you could catch a significant rally. So yeah, I love the risk management technique. It's fantastic. Keep it up, my friend. So we're also watching this garbage token. See if it can build in support here and continue the rally or the short squeeze that it started to build in. It's kind of stopped squeezing shorts, and I don't like that, but it could continue. We'll see. RSC still pushing and Squid SQD still pushing. They're still the leaders on the day. SQD it's going crazy. This thing is being so manipulated right now. So manipulated. It's just been one time framing forever. These are 5-minute candles. Every 5-minute candle has been a higher close. Like insane. And RFC pulling back a little bit off the highs here. Here, let's put on the 100 as that's where we want to see it stop. That's the last one. We don't want to see it lose that. That typically is where you want to buy on the alts when they're pumping. Because the theory is if you lose that, then you no longer have that strength. You no longer have that bullish momentum. So there's no point in holding it. And you can see here when we go to Cheems, we're coming to that area. So I couldn't get in with a bigger position because it was going to ruin my cost basis. I kind of want to see it build in support up here and let the moving average come up and catch it. But we'll see. It's a slight rounding bottom. As long as that holds, I still like it for maybe another squeeze, but it doesn't look good right here, right now. It looks like you've lost your bullish momentum. So there's no point in me getting big position levered up here. Let it pull back, and if it holds down here, we can jump into it with a bigger position. If it builds in that support, we'll make some money. I like to always take a little bit off the table on the first pump. That's why I took it off. I should have just left it on, but if I would have, I could have got stopped out, right? I'm just managing my losses, keeping them non-existent. No loss. We want to make money when we put risk on. As long as we can do that more than when we lose, when we're wrong, we're good. Golden. Making that money. Making that money. Bitcoin pulling back a little bit here. Let's see what it's doing intraday. Yeah, it got hit a little bit. See what I mean? This is why you don't want to buy into the weekly open. This was all-time high. We broke under the weekly open. I literally said this is where sellers are going to be hammering it for the rest of the week, because it was up on the week. When you get back under that then becomes an area of interest for short traders. And they came in there and hit it again today. Notice where your green line is. That's your weekly VWAP. So you can see that the volume weighted average price is currently catching the swing highs. Yeah, that means there's more selling volume happening than buying volume happening in this weekly range. Another fantastic way to mitigate risk and keep your intraday biases. Yeah. We are day traders, so we need intraday biases. Oh, the chart you're watching has more data? Well, I would rather be looking at the one with the most data for sure. Let me see here. What exchange are you looking at that on, Oxum? Okay, so Bybit has more. Bybit has 4 months of data. Ooh, and Bybit is actually different. See, that's why I said that 786 not really going to be a great objective price, but here it's the 618. Binance perps. Gotcha. Why don't I see Binance perps? Oh, right here. There's Binance spot. There's your Binance perp. There you go. There's the perp. And let's see what this one says. 618. Yeah, I mean, it's a level, right? It's a level to help mitigate your risk buy. I have no problem with mitigating risk there. The monthly trend is bearish, and I mean, last week was a dead cat bounce. So this week it looks like a fresh breakdown. That's probably where you're going to... This will be like one of the first places that sellers come to hit it, but I would rather watch what happens up there. And we'll just call that weak support, because that's what it is. Yeah, yesterday, man. Yesterday would have been a beautiful short. Absolutely beautiful. I wish you would have been in the stream yesterday and brought it up to... that this candle opened up at noon. So, I mean, we wouldn't have been live. This candle opened at noon, so the push happened later in the day. Let's see when. Wow, it happened at 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock was the short opportunity on that. 1 o'clock would have been the short op. Obviously, it's easy to see that in hindsight, guys. I get it. But most of you that are in here right now are long-time followers of this channel. You know just as well as I do that that is a level we would have shorted. You know what I mean? There's the breakdown from the weekly open. So that's the leg of price we would have been focusing on. We might have gotten stopped out of a short here if we would have taken that attempt. We probably wouldn't have, though. We probably would have been watching that swing high on the 5-minute if we were watching it for a setup. Yeah, I mean, you broke above and closed above. That would have been so easy to be like, no, we're not going to short it yet. We got to wait, we got to wait, we got to wait. And then we would have got that, and then we would have been like, oh, yeah, we can short this. We would have caught it on that candle right there. Bam! But we were not live at that time, so more than likely, I wouldn't have caught it. But it's beautiful. I love to watch these charts play out the same way over and over and over. It's beautiful. Such a beautiful thing. Just sit at home and watch the magic internet money grow accounts. I do love a slight rounding bottom. I do too, my friend. I do too. I love a good round bottom. Yeah. Here we go. Let's go. Come on, man. This thing isn't dumping, but it's not really holding support either. I think the POC is down here still. Yeah, POC is still down here. I never like to see a rejection without a large volume buildup up there, because it seems to me like its price is reversing because it couldn't find any demand up there. It also implies that there's not a lot of shorts. Like right now, if you were looking at price, where would you anticipate this thing going? Looking at a rejection up there, seeing all this build up of volume down here, my butt would be thinking this thing's going down. Because once all these people start getting stopped, see ya. You know what I mean? That's why I like to see volume build up on the highs. Not necessarily point of control migration higher. Just volume nodes getting bigger. I like the POC to stay down and then the nodes grow. Price finds support and then go again. But that's not what we're seeing here. So it may be done. It may be getting ready to make a fresh day low. I wouldn't short it here though. The obvious short was high day yesterday. Would have been fairly easy to put risk on there. And now it's rolling. So it may be done. But right in here, if it can hold, we'll put more risk on. If it closes 5-minute candles under there, we're done. More than likely with this. Let me see, nothing else popping up. Actually, RFC's pulling back a little bit. Same with SQD. Unite also. And Zcash pulling back. Zcash has been on an absolute tear lately. Damn it, Pingu didn't give us the short. Zcash been absolutely rocking and rolling as of late. I mean, look at that chart. And this thing's trading up at $182, so this thing's got value associated with it. Value, baby, value. Looking good. But I don't really want to get, I really don't want to get involved up here. Because if this fails here at the open, it looks to me like it's trying to put in a bearish engulfing. But it's only got 1 hour and 33 minutes left on this. Yeah, the short, it's too late. Maybe later on, if it rejects here, you could potentially watch that, but it's too low. You could bounce back up to 192.19 or 192.20 up in here before it finds resistance again. If it's even going to roll over. Bitcoin looks like it's trying to, but it's right back into the October VWAP. This could be support. I don't like the momentum. I wouldn't want to buy into that quick down move. It has been pretty one-sided. But if it could round up down here, then maybe later on today, if you didn't participate in the long here, if you're scalping Bitcoin, of course. I think most people at this point are buying Bitcoin for the long-term gains. And sorry, I got distracted. I had an alert. But this thing's pushing lower here. No bueno. Gonna stop me out. Gonna stop me out. Heavy sell side on the delta. Heavy sell side on the delta. And price has been pushing lower pretty much with ease. More than likely this is not going to bounce, but we'll see. If there is someone propping this up or like purposefully manipulating it, it's hard to tell what they're looking for. Maybe a fresh day low. So if it was to just peak under the day low and then stop going down, maybe later on today you could participate in another opportunity for the long. I would want to see 4-hour support holding on 4-hour closing bases. I would not want to see a close under that. Otherwise, it looks like downside continuation after a liquidation. And it's not something that I want to participate in. If it would have tested the 100 or this right here, I would have been able to put on a little bit more risk. Oh, sweet. Wait. How did I do that? Well, it did. I had the watch list open up there and it was staying open. Now it won't. Unless my mouse is on it, hovering over it. But I like it when it stays open. I wish I could undock it and put it on another monitor. That would be sweet. So if you're listening, Weeks devs, fix that watch list to where I can undock that beast and pull it up and leave it open on another monitor. So I can keep my eyes on the movers. Because it updates every second. Every 1 second it's updating continuously. It's fantastic. Are we losing volume by time? Probably. Why is that on ticks? So you have decreased volume, but on the fall. Heavy volume on that swing high. Look at how big that volume is when you punch through that low. I mean, that swing high up there. That's yuck. Yucksters. Could be done. But it's heavier volume than when we had through here. So I don't love that. But it is slowly coming down. Still have massive divergences, but this volume through here was so big on that push lower. I would need to see some serious bullish volume here. Yeah, Binance perps also have 4 months of data. Yeah, I saw that. Could you take a look at Bonk, please? I managed to get in at weekly low, the current weekly low. I thought it was building support, but now what? Yeah, let's go look at Bonk. Current weekly low. You bought it at the current weekly low? Hopefully you didn't sell it. Which I don't know where the current low is now. I don't know when you put that up there. But as of right now, you're trading under it. So this was probably the current week low. Yeah, okay, so you see what you did there? I'm not trying to call you out or anything like that. I'm literally trying to help, guys. That's all. I just want to help. Yeah, you bought the lows of an asset that was literally trending lower. So the order flow for the day was bearish coming into the day, right? You can simply see that. This is a 15-minute chart. So if we just pull up today's data only, like not even worried about where yesterday was and all that stuff, just focusing on today's data. So when we open brand new crypto candles at 8 p.m. Eastern, that is when the Asian session, that's 9 a.m. for Asia. That's when their stock market opens. So that's why it's called that's why we label it the Asian session open. They sold it. And then you had a bounce going into London session open. So this is at 1 a.m. That's when the London traders come online. They start trading an hour before and then an hour after the open. So from 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. That's when positions are being put on. They sold it too. That's why coming into New York, we had a downside bias based on the daily, literally the day's order flow had been bearish all day. So trying to buy the current weekly low that was set today, mind you, you're literally buying against the trend. You're trying to force the market to reverse there. Now, I know you were looking for a liquidation and then a boom. I know that's what you were looking for. But yeah, we had a sell side bias. We were looking for Fartcoin to maybe push up a little bit more, but then we focused on Pingu, but neither one of them did. The New York session started and they both rolled over from where they were. We didn't get that spike up to sell into it. So we just kind of had to leave it alone. Let it go. Yeah, I would not have been a buyer here. Not me. Myself, I would have rather been looking for shorts up here. And that's not because of the moving average. It's because of the weak open. Right? Any bounce up into that would have been a shortable opportunity, not a long. Bitcoin was a long this morning, even though the order flow was bearish, right? Same scenario for Bitcoin. But yesterday, when we were discussing Bitcoin, we said if it could trade into daily support and then build in support there, we wanted to be a buyer there. Well, it kind of did that. Right? Here's the Asian session. They pushed it down into the daily support. And then you had the London session. They couldn't get downside continuation below this. They were trying to, but it bounced. So in this scenario, yeah, maybe, but still, even then, you're going against the trend. The trend is bearish for the day's order flow. For the day. So the fact that it came all the way back here at the New York session speaks volumes. It's probably not going to hold now, or, you know, it might, but I would be less prone to want to buy it here because I would have wanted to see New York continue from that. A nice bullish reaction off of a support level, an objective level. I would have wanted to see New York come in and pick it up with a higher low. They didn't. In fact, they're right now pushing, trying to break this level. But more than likely, we're coming down to here. Maybe not today, maybe tomorrow. But if they get their way, they're going to be looking for the sell on the bounce. So what I want you to do is I want you to look, you know, to try to buy with order flow. Like if it's a choppy day, then you can be a buyer at swing lows or a seller at swing highs. But if there's a clear daily directional bias, you should automatically be thinking about that bias. So bonk is actually continuing lower here. This is downside continuation. So everybody in New York, when New York came online, they were like, well, we want to sell it for downside continuation. Obviously, no one knows what price will do, and it could hold up here later on, but I wouldn't fight it. So, like, this was a great, big, gigantic bullish reaction. You remember I bought daily support down here, and then we had that nice move, and I was super jazzed up and happy about it. But then we got this reaction at the weekly 21 exponential, and I was no longer happy about it. Yeah. Yesterday, it literally didn't even get to retest the daily 21. The sellers hit it before it could even get back up there. So going into the Asian session open, when this candle opened last night at 8 p.m., they just insta-sold it, like, at 8 p.m. So here's 8 p.m. You got a little tiny 10-minute move down, then a little spike up, and that ended up being the highest closing 5-minute candle of the daily range. Like, heavy selling. Heavy selling. That marked resistance. That was the entry for the short. In a scenario like that, stop would have been up there. Sellers never got threatened. At not 1 second were they threatened. In fact, the trade started working instantly. Boom. So, yeah. Very, very, very hard to try to buy, or, you know, for buyers to reverse the market in that scenario. Like today, me buying cheese was based only on divergence, and order flow for the day was bearish, right? Super bearish. There's your, well, over here's your daily open, somewhere over in here. Right there is your daily open. So, boom, heavy selling, and then it set the low of day right there. This happened at midnight. London came online. London tried to buy it, but then the sellers got it, pushed it down. The only reason I was trying to buy this today was because it's had a big move up yesterday, But today's order flow was bearish. It was this higher low. If this would have continued, right, because I bought it here, I'm a buyer here as long as price is above it. If it would have rock and rolled in through here and immediately started to go down and then took this low out, I would no longer be trying to buy it. Because at this point, you are, order flow is bearish as this is a lower high. And now you have a fresh lower low. So the clear bias was to the downside. I knew there was divergence here. So I didn't know that it was going to go up. It could have continued on down. But based on the divergence, this higher low, I took a shot at it. Once we put in this stuff here and then bounced above 4-hour support, I felt really good about the trade, as these are all higher lows. It's no longer making lower lows and lower highs. It's making higher lows. Not higher highs yet, but higher lows. That was it. If we would have made a fresh low, I'd have been, nope, I'm out. I'm out. I'm not even going to mess with it. So even though we have a nasty rejection here, if you look at this on a larger time frame, right? Even though we have a huge rejection here, we are still making higher lows and now higher highs. So, this suggests that this thing's going to roll over. But if price fails to go lower than this, I could still buy this. Since 5 a.m. Well, actually, since before then. Since 1 a.m., you've been making higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. This is still a higher low. So the trend is still up. If this candle ends up doing something like this, then I'm done. I'm done with the asset. It's over. This is a rejection. This is a fresh low. And I would have to be done looking at it. But as of right now, it is still making higher highs and higher lows. I took the long end in anticipation that it was potentially going to make a higher high based on divergence, but it was still going against the trend. I was still taking a long going against the trend. I just had a divergent signal. We didn't have any divergence on Bonk, Pingu, or Farcoin today. It was literally a short. We just didn't get the entry. Remember, we were looking for Pingu to go up a little bit higher to give us that sell signal. Wait, this is a daily. Because we started the stream at 9. So when we started the stream, we were actually looking for a little bit of a higher low or a higher high to sell into. But it didn't even give us that. It went straight into see ya. But yeah, we had a downside bias on it. We wanted to sell it. So yeah, I mean, I need to do better looking at the chat. I get that, but from now on, like, if there's an asset, if you're literally looking at something that I'm not looking at while I'm live, because I'm sure you guys are at your computers, I'm sure you guys have your own things going on the side and whatnot. If there's an asset that you're focused on and that you're sincerely thinking about taking a trade on it, like anytime in the next 25, 30 minutes, let me know. Put that in the chat and I'll go look at it and I'll analyze it for you. I'm not always going to be right. Okay. Let me get that out there. I'm not always going to be right, but I can at least tell you what I would be thinking. And then you can either use that to help your bias or not. But sometimes you're going to be right. Like sometimes you're going to be looking for a trade at a specific level and I might be like, I don't like it. And then you take it and it works. But I would have said no to that one. I don't even like, even though Cheems is doing what I wanted it to do, it hasn't been for the last hour. I did not want to see a rejection like this. So I'm not loving putting on a new position here. There's only 10 minutes left on this candle. So, I mean, it might be done going down, but it's a very high risk trade at this point to put on right now. Very, very high risk. I mean, I still have a very small position open. Very small, like a quarter of a size normal position. So I do want to add to the trade, but that rejection has me a little bit shook. I ain't even going to kid. That is heavy, heavy, heavy rejection on deltas. They sell the piss out of that. And they were waiting for it to come there. Like they were ready for it. It barely squeaked above yesterday's high. This is a 1 minute candle. You couldn't even close a 1 minute candle up there. They hit it hard. Boom. And then it bounced up and still could not even make it back. And then it boom, boom. So it looks done. But volume's dried up on it a little bit. So if whoever's manipulating it isn't done manipulating it yet and they have a higher price target objective in mind, that's kind of the only reason I'm still looking at this. Because if they are still manipulating it and they have a much higher price target in mind, I want to be on it with them. I want to participate. I want to participate. That's a huge, huge move. Oh, that water's so good. Yeah, that's a 17% rip up there. If I could get a full-size position on and it were to go up there again, you're looking at big money on the day. Much more than what I normally look for. But that's expecting a lot, too. It's still trading with much heavier volumes than normal, so it's still possible that the short squeeze continues. We've seen cryptos go absolutely bonkers afternoon through this alt season. We've seen them go 200 and 300% in a single day. And that, when you're on the right side of those are year makers. Those kind of trades can make your whole year. We can't anticipate them or expect to catch them, but by keeping them on watch and paying attention to them, we can occasionally participate. What does TLDW mean? I see that all over the place, and I'm just not hip to the language. I'm sure I've asked this before. The down low or something? No, TLDW. Oh. That's... I don't understand the question then. Yeah, that doesn't really bother me at all. I mean, too long didn't watch. It's okay. Good. It's fine. It's all good. I don't watch 3-hour-long videos either. But we're here to try to make money. It's different. We're trading. We're actively trading. We're looking to put on positions. What else do you do in a trading day? This is what I do. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it live. Yeah, lift is pulling back to fill that gap. So a closure under the 20 and I'm going to get out of it. It's that simple. I'll wait to see if it wants to pull back deeper. It could be looking for a much deeper target. So next potential bullish target for me would be the midpoint of last month, and we'll see what happens when it gets there. If it gets there, it might not. If it builds in support higher than that, that'd be okay. Midpoint's coming in at 1953. I would love to see it build in support at the midpoint or the 618, either one of those two levels. I could be a buyer if it starts to put in a longer term consolidation, like a week, maybe a week and a half, a consolidation in this area. I'd be interested in buying it again, as it's still trending. It's just not trending this month, right? It's pulling back this month. That's objectively speaking. You broke out last month. It was a nice, strong, bullish close on the month. If we're going to see this continue, this strength continue, then we would expect a midpoint check. And that's where we would expect the buyers to show back up again. If they don't, we'll get out of it again. But I still like it. It still looks good. Also... Where did it go? Where did it go? There it is. Also, O'Reilly's pulling back deeper too. It's actually trying to put in a trending scenario here. As you are under last month's low. So as long as you're under last month's low, you got to be careful being either a dip buyer or a put seller. If you're a put seller, you could be in trouble because it's literally trying to put in a trending move here to the downside. Now, if it spends, several days in this area, then we'll take a shot at it because it could be done going down. But right now, it's still trying to trend lower. Wes says, oh wait, sorry, King Money, what's happening, my friend? Yeah, have a good one, Lifestyle Media. Have a good one. Go to court. Oh, have fun. Hi Heath, what's up, King Money? Enjoying these sessions. Do you plan to make these at least 2 times a week? Yeah, I do them 2 times every week. Every week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays are live streams for the community only. Yeah. The internet thing is fixed for now, so as long as I don't have a problem with the internet, then we can go live every day. This is what I do for a living anyway. The reason that I wasn't going live at the beginning when we built the channel was simply because my internet was garbage. And I didn't feel there was any need to waste anybody's time. But this year they put a new tower close to my house, and now I got good, fast, consistent speeds So I can go live. I go live every day. Have been for the past 3 months. Every single day. The only day I do not go live is Saturday. Because I have a channel members only live stream I do on Sunday. So every day except Sunday, I am live in the morning. Yep, it's going to be a continuation. I took a loss on NQ, says Wes, 16 points in a long. Yeah, the markets got hammered this morning on the open. All of them did. Let's do the US 100. All of them got hit pretty hard. I was looking for Forex.com, but this is just fine too. Capital.com is a pretty big exchange for Europeans. He's out of London, I think. Yeah, it got hammered at the open. There's your 9:30 open, and they came out swinging. They came out swinging. It's just a pullback, though. I mean, I know people getting tired of hearing me say that, but it is what it is. You buy the dips. I mean, this is a very small day. Compared to what it did yesterday, it's just a pullback. It's getting extended. It's getting long in the tooth. You're probably printing all kinds of divergences. You are on the daily. Let's see if we got weekly div yet. Don't have weekly div on the MACD. You don't have weekly div on the CCI. And you do not have weekly div, bearish div on the RSI. So weekly divergence, not there yet. Daily is. Daily divergence is definitely here. You could argue and say that you've got divergence from here to here. So you've got long-term divergence, bearish divergence here, and you've got very near-term bearish divergence. And I would argue that neither one of them have played out. Well, we could say this one's played out because you got back down to the 60. So I wouldn't be looking at this from this swing to this swing. I wouldn't be looking at that as bearish divergence any longer. That move right there is played out. But you can look at this divergence if you trade divergences. There is bearish div here. I mean, it's lower highs, and up here you've got higher highs. So I'm sure there's a lot of sellers looking for the short based on that signal alone. But the overall macro supports a bullish market. So I would be looking for dips to buy. I'm not really interested in buying the dip on the SP, the cash market, because we're still very far off. I know this chart is absolutely disgusting and busy as hell, but this is my chart that I mark all the weekly options moves on. So you can see you're basically unchanged on the week right now on the S&P cash market. So really, it's as if though you haven't really gone anywhere since last Thursday. Last Thursday you opened here, and today you came right back to that price. So one could arguably call this a pullback, but I like the deeper corrections. I like to be a buyer on those low edge expected ranges. Here. You got to be careful though, because occasionally you do break down hard under that. And we're way up off of that. So it's hard for me to just want to be a buyer up here. But if it does pull back into there, I could. Absolutely. The fact that the VIX is staying up or staying elevated, it does tell us that we are seeing a lot of hedging activity, and hedging activity can lead to sharp sell-offs. And essentially all I mean by that is right here was a big move lower. I would have liked to have seen it come out and set some higher highs in here and then start to roll back over and come back down into this. If that would have be taking place, then we would have a very strong bullish bias here. But because of that and this gap that it left, it does look like we're getting ready to see a spike on the VIX soon. It does look like that. So I'm not sitting here saying you should be a buyer on the S&P today or yesterday or the day before that, right? Because right now the VIX does look like it's trying to spike. So I want to wait for that spike first and then see what happens the next day and the day after that. If those volatility sellers come in fast, then we can jump on a low-sided wick on the S&P for, a 4 or 5 day long scalp, swing trade, whatever you want to call it. But right now, it's a little bit risky being a buyer up here because of the VIX structure. It's oscillating, but it's oscillating higher. Very choppy, very difficult for a new trader to look at this and be able to distinguish any kind of directionality. But that's what it looks like it's trying to do to me. It looks like it's trying to push higher. So for that reason and that reason alone, you could actually be looking to sell resistance on the S&Ps. But it would only be for very quick scalps lower. Like Wes said, 20, looking for like 50 points on the NQ or a 10-point move on the S&Ps. So right now, the S&Ps is currently rejecting last week's high, right? So I won't be live tomorrow for the public, but I will be live for the Discord. But if you're listening to my voice right now and you're in the public, mark this level on your chart if you love the shorts. If you love to take shorts and you think this market's going to roll over, then right here is where I'd be mitigating that risk from. So anytime today or tomorrow, if the S&P pushes back up here, and does something like that, and something like that, then I would be putting on a short. And I would have my stop just above that candle swing high right there. And then I would be looking for a move like this. And then you might get lucky and get some continuation. Right? That's how I would play it because of what the VIX is doing. So, I mean, there are downside trades to make here. Look at that one. Oh, so beautiful. So pretty. This is a resistance test. These are 30-minute candles, so you spent a lot of time grinding out resistance here. And then you closed above, so it looked really good. the opening of the cash market, you immediately rejected. So any push back up to here today, for me, as long as it rejects, I would be willing to put on I could either buy a near term, like a 6-day put or a 5-day put or a 7-day put, or you could just simply scalp the shares on the SPY. Can't scalp SPX shares, but you can buy an SPX put contract, or you could put on, I wouldn't be a call seller. It's too dangerous to sell calls. But you could put on like a condor if you like condors. I don't like condors myself. Condors only make condors only do good if you get big moves. And the VIX is elevated, but it's been elevated all year, pretty much. I mean, if one looks at the VIX, the entire year's range, it's been elevated all year. Like, look at this disgusting thing. You have spent way more time this year being like above or grinding out the yearly opening than you have been kind of under it. It's only the last quarter and the beginning of this quarter we've been grinding this level out. So yeah, there's two-sided trading happening right now. You just got to be very selective of those levels. Now see, I have that same level. Well, it's not, yeah, right here. Previous week's high. It's the same as last week's high. It's the same level. Yeah, if you reject that price today or tomorrow, that could be a shortable opportunity. Absolutely. Because the dollar is going up. Even though the yen's going down, the dollar's going up. The VIX is grinding higher. The dollar's grinding higher. That means you can look for shorts. I have no problem with shorts. But the overall trend is up, right? Your trades will work out better and longer if you were buying support levels. That could change, but all year, the buy of the dippers have been winning the trade, not the sellers. The sellers have been making a few hits here and there. They've been lucky, right? But the buyers literally just, boom, man. They're just still sitting in this thing, watching it go. But yeah, the longer term ones, you could actually say that there's an ascending wedge on this. I don't love that, but I mean, this is a very bullish market. This is what we expect in bull markets. We expect this kind of price action, very small daily ranges, very low volatility. This post and the volatility really is the reason why. This is really the reason why I want to be along on USD CHF right now, because of this, right? It's lower than the yen. So for me, that I would much rather be long this one because of the lower implied volatility than this one. It doesn't mean this one's going to go down. It just means to collect carry, this seems like a better, and I'm not trading with large position size, nothing like 300 billion units or nothing like that. So this thing is liquid enough for me. It might not be liquid enough for like big money, but we'll see. we'll see. If this thing continues to trend higher, then we'll be right on it. If it doesn't, we'll be wrong. It's that simple. Good stuff. Bitcoin pulling back to September's high and shows accumulation inside September's wick high. That is healthy. So let's say 118 to 114. Yeah, my favorite place for Bitcoin to be a buyer is going to be down here based on the daily 21. Because if, in my book, they bought it last time. Well, I don't need to put it up there. I've got it right where it needs to be. They bought it last time. So last time, the daily, when we pulled back here, the daily 21 exponential was right here. It was like right at 113.05. Like in this area. So it pulled back right into it, and then the buyers showed up. So I want to see that same thing happen. And right now, the daily 21 is here at 118.536. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's close enough. 118.365. So 118. There. Boom. So if price can chop from this blue line to this yellow line, that's where I would be okay with being a buyer. So I definitely don't want to be a heavy buyer up here. But thanks to this explosive move that we've seen early October, the VWAP is all the way up here, so it may not even come back down here. It literally could find support here. I doubt it, because there's not a whole lot of people that's looking at the monthly volume weighted average price. It's an anchored. I anchor the monthly and weekly VWAPs to the open. So right now, this week, yeah, the sellers are doing a good job keeping Bitcoin down. But the monthly VWAP buyers are trying to keep it up. So it could find support here. But down here, I like it better. Like Wes says, you got September's high down there. Beautiful stuff. So we would like to see Bitcoin, if it does, we don't like to see it break down, but if it does, we want to see it build in support in here and start to rally again. Give us that rounding bottom that we like so much. I just pretend you're talking to me while I don't wear pants. I've been doing this several years in these charts, pantless and quiet. Me too. Me too. No point wearing pants. I'm not on camera. I don't even have to wear pants when I'm on camera. All's good. I'm Bob Ross with the Bitcoin drawing. Yeah. I like it. Right now, man, my hair almost looks like it. I need to cut my hair. Driving me crazy. I don't have his style of hair, but I need a haircut. Probably do that tonight. Well, I mean, that's what I want to see happen. Of course, I don't know what's going to happen. But that's what I like to see happen. I'd like to see that demand come up with price. Let us know that the buyers are still here. Because every time you see a significant high or even an insignificant high, people are always trying to short it. You got your top callers out there, and your retail loves to short swing highs as they love to buy swing lows when the market's falling. Nobody wants to be a dip buyer. They think it doesn't work for whatever reason, but the chart's telling you it does. Trends usually continue when there is a trend. But Bitcoin really isn't trending yet. It's trying to. Right? It's trying to. The first part of the year, the first half of the year, Bitcoin set in, significant lows as it pulled back 30% almost. Boom. But once those lows were set in, it traded right back up to the highs. And then since it breached the yearly high here, which also was the all-time high at one point, once it breached it, it's slowly been consolidating. And then it built in a higher support here in August and September. And now we're seeing that breakout attempt. So it's trying to break out. And it looks really good for a significant breakout. I know it looks bad because you got 4 up months in a row. So you're probably thinking it needs to pull back and be sideways. It doesn't. If it's just sideways, that's good enough. That's good enough for trend continuation. The trend is up and it is continuing. It's just struggling to break out. It may not ever break out. It may not trade like that ever anymore because there's so many ETFs and other on-ramps and Bitcoin treasury companies and all these other factors now. This year's different than any other year. So this will probably trade more like a Forex product or gold or the S&P now more than ever. Which means slow, consistent growth. And I'm fine with that. It can grind higher forever as far as I'm concerned. We love it. I took the trade earlier at 11:30ish, but I learned something new. Nice. Yeah, that bonk. I used to do it. We've all been there. I used to do it. Hell, sometimes I still do it. Sometimes I still do it. I get mad sometimes and throw in positions and try to revenge trade. Still kind of got emotions, so they're still going to affect my trading. But I try to keep it on lock. I try to make sure that when I start feeling like I'm trying to trade on tilt, I quit doing it as quickly as possible. All right, so going back over here to Cheesemonger. I don't know what this is. It's Cheems. Okay, so we did build in a little bit of support here. At the 100 on the 5-minute. So this is a good look. Now, obviously, I don't know what's going to happen, but this is a good look. As it did not break down, it has not given us fresh daily lows, and we have not tested the 5-minute 200 exponential yet. So, in theory, the bulls are still in control of this asset. So any pullbacks into this area again, I will be putting on more risk. Absolutely. Well, that 4-hour candle doesn't look great. We got 37 minutes left on the close. This thing could close up here and it would look fabulous. Look at this hourly. Doesn't look bad. Your sellers are going to try to get it here. This is where your sellers are going to jump on it. If you have a short side bias on this, you could attempt a short here. You could attempt a short. I don't like the short because the buyers are still in control of it. But if you can't close a 5-minute candle above 182, then the shorts might have it. It's literally that simple. If you do start closing 5-minute candles above that price, then you're wrong probably on the short. Right? That is going to be your hourly resistance based on this close and that reaction to drive back down to the open. It didn't get back down to the open, but it could on this candle. 35 minutes left on this candle's range. So we'll see what it's going to do here, but I do still like this. It still looks good. And there's an all-time high up there that has not been hit yet. I don't know that it's going to get up there. But if it's being manipulated, which it looks like it is being manipulated, maybe they have an exit strategy. Maybe their exit strategy is at 25. So if we push beyond this point, I could hold it up to there. I'll mark that red, and that's like, that would be as far as I would expect it to go if they're getting ready to be done with this thing. Very small volumes and stuff. Big, huge volumes today on a down day. So this is why I still have a very bullish bias. Huge volumes to the downside. This candle is still up on the day. And it's almost noon. Like, I don't think this thing is done yet. Only time will tell. I guess nobody else has anything they want to look at. People are bouncing. Have I ever seen Ferrari? Yeah, I've seen. Are you talking about the movie Ferrari? Or have I seen a Ferrari? Yeah, I live in Southeast Florida. Yeah, I've seen hundreds of Ferraris. You could throw a rock and hit a Ferrari around here where I live. On the beach, you know what I mean? But the movie, no. If there's a movie called Ferrari, I haven't seen it. I like Ferraris. They're sweet. They look good. I don't own one. I would never put $500,000 on a car. Cars lose their value as soon as you buy them. Like, you need, like, to become rich, you got to think like a rich person. The rich people that are owning and driving Ferraris, they're super rich. Like, for them to spend $500,000 on a car, it's nothing. But when they were building wealth, they weren't doing that. They weren't blowing it on cars. And generally speaking, it's inherited wealth too, that when you see people driving Ferraris and stuff like that, it's inherited wealth. They didn't earn it, therefore they don't care to lose it. But yeah, I like them. They're good looking cars. They sound good. They look good. I'm watching 4145 level on the Ethereum, but USDC pair, not the USDT pair. All right. Since I'm not convinced it might go to the $3,800 level, I can pull up ETH USDC. I don't know which exchange. King Money, I will assume Binance, as there's a lot of volume traded on Binance. It's going to resemble the USDT or it's trading the USDC is also pegged with the dollar. So both of those assets are going to be very, very similar. The levels are going to be slightly different. As far as objectivity goes, your levels will be slightly different, but pretty damn close. Oh, sorry, this is October. So for me, as long as Ethereum can stay above 41.46, I like it higher for me. It's only once we get below this price would I start looking for lower targets. 38.26, for instance. But it has to get here first, right? It can't. It's not just going to go straight down there. It doesn't look good for this week as it's pushing on fresh weekly lows right now. And today is Thursday. So with that being said, unless we get some kind of really bullish driver tomorrow, which the U.S. government, as far as I know, is still shut down. When they open back up, we are going to get, at some point, we're going to get the NFP number we were supposed to get and never did get. So I don't know if that number will be good enough to stop it from making fresh weekly lows. But for right now, it is down on the week and it is making fresh weekly lows. But it's still up for the month of October. It is still objectively bullish for this month. It doesn't look great. You have an old weekly support right here that could stop it. I don't know that it will, but it is definitely a level you could watch. Would I buy it right here? No, there's too much downside momentum in this daily range. But with that being said, it's probably really close to being a one standard deviation move. We can check the one standard deviation move simply by looking at the ATR, which is just the average true range. Our average true range on Ethereum is about $185 a day. We opened up here, so let's go see where 185 puts us. Okay, so we're actually today we're down more than one standard deviation. So basically, if I would have sold Ethereum today, I would be exiting that short right now. Or I probably would have exited a little bit earlier. I probably would have exited at that daily swing low simply because that would have been my downside target. So I would have shorted the open and I would have had a downside target of $189 or $180. So you may see it bounce from here today based on it's already moved one standard deviation. So I would not be looking for fresh shorts down here because of that fact alone. So what could happen, not what's probably going to happen, what could happen is you could see Ethereum chop sideways here for the rest of the day. If you break down below the weekly support, then this is heavy sell side pressure. Heavier than normal. Heavier than average. Right now, it's still just an average pullback. It's within a normal context. So I wouldn't be trying to buy it right here, right now. But it's just because I don't know if it's going to break down or not yet. But if it spends a lot of time chopping in this area, I could potentially buy it with a tight stop, expecting that this may be the low of day, but you're trading at the low of day. It's so risky to try to do that right off the bat. But I wouldn't be surprised at all to wake up tomorrow and see that it stopped going down here. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be surprised at all. But other than that, for me to maintain a bullish posture on this ETH USDC, I need it to stay above 41.48. As long as that is happening, I can still keep a bullish posture. You're also trying to break down from the 21 exponential. I don't love that. The 50 also comes in here. Like, you've got some confluence here for buyers to come in here today, right now. So I could make the argument that this could be a decent place to look later on today or going into tomorrow for a long, if it holds as support. If it pushes lower than that, I wouldn't be trying to buy those swings, because you could be seeing a deeper correction back down into this demand zone down here. That's going to be a daily demand zone. So we don't know what kind of sell side pressure is driving the market today. We don't know if it's just random profit taking or what's going on. But yeah, it still looks okay. Under October open, it starts to look like something else going on. 41.45 is the level you're watching. I like it. 41.46 is the October open. I love it. I like your style, my friend. I like your style. You got an objective level to watch down there. You could definitely add to a long position if prices stop going down from there. Oh, you mean race. LOL. Got it. Let's go look at that ticker. I'm so sorry. I didn't understand what you were saying, but I understand you now. You're talking about the actual ticker. Got it. Ooh, it's getting beat up. It got beat up pre-market. Yeah, it's getting beat up here. That is a serious gap down. So Ferrari's down 14% today. This had to have news. I mean, yeah, on a big gap down like that, could I have been a seller? Maybe. I might have been able to be a seller looking for downside continuation. That's a huge gap down. I can tell you one thing. Once you made a fresh day low, your downside scalpers jumped on it. So, like, if you were looking at this without extended hours on, if we're looking at this with just regular hours, so your downside break traders, and they're out there, they jumped on the short right there, and they're making money. They're making money. They could have simply mitigated that risk by taking the short entry at the low of day, setting stop above this last up closing 5-minute candle. That is a legitimate trading style. So if I was trading it like that, this is basically how I would have put that position on. Now, obviously, I wouldn't have a downside target like that. My downside target would have simply been 2 to 1. So that's a trade that I could have made, or anybody could have made. And they are doing good right now. Yeah, it's getting beat up. Let's see what the news is. If there is a downside catalyst. Okay, so last time, why is this still on bonk? Thank you. Here we go. Okay, so it sounds like there was it sounds like there might have been Ferrari shares slumped Thursday after new long-term profitability targets missed expectations. So it sounds like an earnings play. The Italian luxury sports car maker nudged its full-year financial expectations higher at an investor event in Italy while setting new financial targets for the end of the decade. It said it expects net revenues to grow at 5% a year over the next 5 years, driven by its model lineup, including limited edition models and car customizations. Volumes will positively contribute, but to a lesser extent, it said. Full year adjusted earnings before interest and tax is now expected to reach at least 2.6 billion euros, 2.4 billion from at least 2.03 billion euros previously, before hitting at least 2.75 billion euros in 2030. So this massive sell side is coming from a news-driven event. Long-term goals being decreased. Earnings is still yet to be, or maybe this was just like an investor phone call or something they do before earnings. I don't know. But yeah, that's why it's gapping down. Now, we can look at this long term. Give me 1 second. See what we got here. So you're trying, well, you already did this year. That's April. So when we had the bear market for the risk markets, you put in this low. That's your 2025 yearly low. And that's not great for Ferrari because it's currently still trading under the last low, or the lowest low. So huge gap to fill. That's going to be August's low. Huge gap to fill to the upside. This is probably due to stops getting triggered and a lot of other things. I doubt you get all the way back up there. Okay, let's go build it out. See what we got here. I bet your volumes are massive today. Yeah, they are freaking massive, dude. Yeah, because this thing's going to hit watch lists and scanners all over the world. So just like I run a scanner for top gainers on the cryptos, on the alts, you can also run a scanner for top losers. So Giggle's down 34%, 26% on that one. So people run these kind of scans on stocks too, because in general, day traders are looking for an increase in volume. You've got that in spades. You have that in spades here. Huge volumes today. Could be all-time high volumes. No, not all-time high volumes, but damn, it's been a long time since you've experienced volumes at this level. So the last time you did was back in 2019. So that's going to hit scanners all over the place. So you're going to see your days trade scalpers jump all over this thing. They're seeing a massive gap down, so they're expecting a much bigger move today. I don't know about options. I don't know. Let's see what this thing does with options. It doesn't have weeklies. And they're really spready, over $1 wide. So there's probably, it's more or less shares. People are trading the shares. Options are super wide. I don't imagine there's many day traders scalping options on this. That's too risky, as the spreads are way over $1 wide. So massive gap fill would be all the way back up to 479. I really don't see a level that I would be looking to, or looking for it to roll over. So if this is how I would play Ferrari, me, myself, and I, if I was going to trade Ferrari, I would simply have to wait for a low, a new yearly low, and then see what happens after that. There's no edge for me to do anything with it here, where it is. No edge at all. You could argue that there's an old weekly support down here. And I would say, yeah, you're right. There is. And you have not been able to close a weekly candle below that price since that price. So maybe we could look to scalp longs from here only if it rejects hard from down there. So right now you're hitting your fresh 2-to-1 risk to reward targets. So you could start to see a bounce here. If you remember, we were looking for the short. We were looking to mitigate the risk from that last up closing bullish candles high. So that's how our risk to reward would have been structured. We would have been looking for a 2-to-1 risk to reward. So you can see here, we have hit that with that last 5-minute candle. So these people's targets are going to start coming off. Your primary targets are going to be hit. So I'm sure they have secondary and tertiary targets as well. I would too, but primary targets coming off. So maybe it bounces from here, but I would want to see a massive rejection. My favorite play would be to wait for this swing low down here. Because if you could get a big, like a big slice under it, and then an instant rejection back above it, and then a failure to start trading back under it, then you could look for a potential spike back to the upside. So that's how I would trade it if I was going to trade it. Now, I've obviously already missed the short, so I'm not going to try to take shorts down here. Because at any minute, this thing can bounce. And this is going to be weekly support here, so yeah. Very volatile, lots of volume, big stuff happening here today on Ferrari. But if it rejects going lower than the 2025 yearly low, then you could expect it to fill some of this gap. Not all of it, but at least some of it. Because that's a huge gap. Now, you might not have to fill it. Gaps never have to fill, but I would expect it's probably going to fill at least half of it. It did here. It had a massive gap down once before on earnings. You had a big down day, one day. Big down day. The next day, gap down. Set the monthly low, and then it traded away. And it traded all the way back up and filled the gap. Sellers jumped on it looking for downside continuation. They did not get that. Instead, the buyers put it up even higher. So this was breaking news, and it caused a unwind of positions. Huge move. I would keep this on watch. In fact, I'm going to put it on watch. Because if it fails to go back under, I would definitely be interested in buying Ferrari at 391.54. But it would be shares. It wouldn't be options. Thank you for bringing that up. I very seldom ever run stock scanners for intraday scalps, because generally we're trying to position for swing trades on stocks. But I always scalp anything. I will trade anything. If it's liquid, I will trade it. I am not stingy when it comes to trading. Thanks for letting me know. 17% is huge. Some of a lease. Oh, wait, what? Some of lease and real look like they got a lot of money. Oh. Can I check USD HUF? Yes. Yeah, I like checking. I love checking Forex here. USD HUF. That's the Hungarian forint. So if we start to see dollar strength, if it does start to go on a short squeeze, which it absolutely could, simply because so many people right now, I believe, are positioned for the macro trade, the short dollar trade, that I think we could go on at least a month-long expansion phase back to the upside. So right now on the Hungarian forint, I couldn't do anything with it today because it's into a potential resistance. But looking for dollar strength against the Hungarian forint, we could definitely look to be a buyer if it breaks out up above the September open, and then could hold that level as support moving forward. I could be a buyer there. Now this is spready. The spread, like if you have a spread account with Forex, you can get in with a spread account, or you can get a fee-based account. If you are in via the spread account, you gotta look at the spread on this. This thing has a 50 pip wide spread. 50 pips, so it's a fast mover. In fact, my exchange is Oanda and Forex.com. Neither one of them will let me take a full-size position trade on this because of that. So I very rarely ever trade this. I usually stick with the majors. But right now it's kind of like, I like it only because it's above the 21 exponential. Obviously the trend is bearish. So some people would argue and say it's probably best to just wait for this thing to put in a swing high and look for that reversal to be a seller. I can't imagine that the Hungarian forint is better than the US dollar, but this chart says it is. This chart clearly says it is. It's a lot stronger than the dollar. That's why this is going down. But if the dollar got hit since 2020, the last part of 2024 based on rate cuts. So if the dollar gets a nice short squeeze going on, then it'll probably get well above the September open. We can check the interest rate differential between this and that. There goes pump. So pump's losing the level we said we wanted it to hold. This is why buying these levels are so dangerous, because it's already trending lower. It's already heading down. Versus this, it is not yet. So yeah, I wish this would pull back, but let me go back over here and pull up the interest rate differential. I don't know if I can even find Hungary here. Let me see. Right there it is. So that's why right there, the interest rate, the 3-month interest rate on the Hungarian forint is 6.29%. So that's one reason why the dollar is getting beat up compared to this. With dollar weakness, there's not much of a differential here. I can't give you what the 1-month rate is, but there is a spread there, but it's only what, 2 point. But we rounded this up to 4 and rounded that to 6. Let's just call it 6.5. You would have a 2.5 point spread. So there's not enough to keep people short based on that data alone. So the only thing that I could do with this is just watch that September open, or let's go into the weeklies and say that's as high as you could trade. All right, boom, right there. So here, if it could stay trading above this point right here, I could be long. So if it pulls back, like if it finds resistance up here, because yesterday you didn't quite get up there, and the dollar is pretty extended right now on the daily range. The DXY is pretty extended. Yeah, it's pretty much done what it's going to do today. So this could pull back. So this probably won't be a trade idea until next week or the week after that. You're going to need a little bit of time. It either needs to pull back down into here, or it needs to break out and then pull back into here. I need to see a support check on one of these two prices. Where it currently is, I don't really love it. But yeah, I like it higher if the dollar keeps going up. Not today, because look at the DXY. You have a ginormous daily range today. This is bigger than normal. It's going to be close. The DXY's normal daily range is about 0.56. You go to the open here, you're right at it right now. You're right at the daily upside target for DXY. I wouldn't be expecting much more gains on the day for the dollar. I wouldn't try to short the dollar here because of that. You know what I mean? I wouldn't try to short it, but it's probably going to pull back for the rest of the day or trade sideways. So just expect the rest of the day to look like this, right? Until tomorrow. And then tomorrow you might put in a little bit more of a move. And then if you trend higher, or tomorrow it might roll over and come back in to give some of this back. But I wouldn't be looking for anything more on the dollar today. It's basically already done what we would have targeted. So pound dollar looking good. The short trade we got on pound dollar looking good. But I wouldn't be expecting much more than that today on this either. Like, it's probably down as far as it's going to go today. You've also got a 200 exponential down there, so might not hurt to take some of this money off the table. I love the way this new take profit and stop loss thing works for this. You just simply click and drag. Wait, that's going to close the entire position, isn't it? Yeah, I don't like that. Why can't I pull up the position, though? This is stupid. There we go. So take profit. We would want to wait, it's not allowing me to select the units, the position size. What is going on with this? This is all new. I don't like that. I like the drag feature, but I want to be able to take profits. I don't want to close the whole trade. Oh, you know what? I know what I can do. I'll just set a new position. I'll buy. Let's see here. I'll buy 300. I'll buy 250,000 units. I'll buy 250,000 units at 133079. One three three oh 79. Yeah. Perfect. And then that'll take 2/3 of the position off, and then I can just leave the rest on. So that's that. Not bad. All right, we're going to wrap it up here. If you got any other thing that you want me to look at, drop it in the chat. Basically, no one wants EVs. I think people do want EVs. People are just conflicted. I mean, a lot of Tesla people that used to like Tesla stopped liking Tesla because Elon chose to be Donald Trump's friend, and now they don't want to do it anymore. What is this confirm discard crap? All right, I got filled. That's weird. Profit target hit. Now we just leave the rest open to do whatever it wants to do. All right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. People Yeah, I think is California still doing that? Trying to force people to buy those as well? Yeah. IWM, please. Let's go look at IWM. Yeah, Bitcoin broke below daily support here for a little bit. IWM looks really good still. I mean, it looks like it's trying to break out and go much higher. This is old stuff. Let me get rid of it. Is that 2024? Give me 1 second. This is a fresh all-time high here. Why is that so big, dude? That should be yellow. Dude, come on. Yellow. I am terrible with the point and click. So it looks really good. It's just pulling back from the highs, the fresh highs that it just made. And then last one, I swear. It's just simpler this way. Yeah, it's pulling back this week. So right now, last week's expansion, it was a higher high and a higher close. It closed higher than this candle's close. So you got higher high, higher close. This week, you're pulling back. You did make a fresh weekly high. So if you have a downside bias on this asset, if you are looking for shorts, I don't think you should be, because the asset is clearly bullish here. Clearly bullish. But if you must, you would be watching for shorts at 248.09, and that would be on rejection of that price. So I wouldn't be looking to short. I mean, you can't short that price right this second, clearly, because it isn't up there. But if it does get up there, that's where you could look for shorts at. 248.09. I wouldn't short it myself. That's last week's high. If it rejects that price, it could be looking for lower prices. But more or less, people are probably going to be looking to buy dips. This is making fresh all-time high after fresh all-time high, so you are currently trending higher. It looks really good for upside continuation. I can't be a buyer until either it tests the 21 exponential or October's open, whichever one comes first. But yeah, I'd be interested in watching what it does once it gets down here. If it was able to hold that, I would be looking to buy it. And I would have an upside target of 247.18. Which is the old all-time high, last month's high, September's high. That would be my upside target from here or here. But if you're looking for shorts, then you would be looking to put on a short position upon rejection of 248.09. There's Friday. So that's the trade. that already took place. That high was put in on Friday of last week. This week, Monday, you opened, rejected. So you brought in your emotional traders, jumped on the short when they seen that rejection. Then prices went up and made the real liquidation, smoking the emotional traders and then rolling over. And then the next day, rejecting the September high. Boom, boom, boom. So your short trade is done. It's already happened and it's already played out. So moving forward, you might not go back up there. I guess you could watch September's high. But you tagged that this morning and rejected it. That's all I got for the short. It's got to be one or the other. It can't be anything else. Like, I wouldn't be looking to put on a random short down in here. No way, Jose. Yeah, I don't see much. There's an old daily low right there. Yeah, that's all you got. There's an old daily low here. So the sellers today, if they're real and right, then right in here is where you would expect an intraday short to take place. Just an intraday short. That's if they're going to be right. Yeah, that's your another day low. This is a nothing burger. That's an intraday low, and that's a pre and post market low. So, yeah, this would be the next place that I think sellers would stand up at. Since they hit the last week's high on Monday, and then Tuesday they came in again and hit September's high. Yesterday the sellers were not here. They waited till this morning. And that smoked yesterday's high. That's where the sellers jumped on it. I would stop shorting it if you get above this point, because you're probably coming back to here. So for today and tomorrow on the IWM, if it fails to trade above 246.06, you could potentially target 244 for downside trades. And then if you're trading above 246.06, you would have to see what kind of a reaction you get at 246.94. As if you're trading above this, you're probably coming to here. And then if you fail to trade above that point, you could potentially look for a short there. But if you try to short it here today and you get stopped out, are you really going to want to try to do it there? You know what I mean? It's like potatoes at that point. You don't want to eat too many stops in a single day, but that's what I would be doing with IWM today. I don't have a sell side bias on it myself, so I don't think I would take the short. But if I was forced to and someone said you have to short IWM and you have to short it today, that's what I would be doing today. All right. Wes says Aussie yen. Let me get it on a forex.com exchange. Yeah, there's really nothing I can do here because it's too busy gone. Hang on, let me get on my chart that's already freaking analyzed. Well, I haven't done anything with it in a long time. So you're in the monthly resistance. I have not moved the weeklies and 21 or the weeklies and dailies in a long time. It's too extended to be a buyer. It's too far away from this for me to be a buyer. I don't think you got that other monthly high. You have not, but you're in the monthly resistance. So this is why people are trying to jump on the short right here today. I don't think I would like that short, but yeah, I mean, you've liquidated everything all the way back to November. The high week close, or it's not a high week close, it's just a weekly close. That's what's holding resistance for right now. Here's what I would do for Aussie yen if I was going to trade it. I would wait for it to go back there and then short it tomorrow. I mean, it's every single little pullback has been bought. It's just too extended. So you probably are going to see a pullback on Aussie yen here soon. I think you got to put yourself in all the shoes of the people who've been trying to short this since back here, right? They shorted there. They got stopped out here. Then they shorted here. They got stopped out there. They shorted there. They got stopped out. You get what I'm saying? Well, now they're in it again, finally, and finally it's working, right? So I wouldn't short it until tomorrow or the next time. Whenever it finds support, let it come up here. Let it run these people. Then look for that dump action. If you get that dump action, you could put on a short right here. And then target, our scalp targets, depending on stop loss and such. If you want to scalp it and look for 50 pips, then you could have a 25 pip stop loss. I don't want to short it. Like, I would short it now because this is the first time you're actually seeing multiple hours in a row of downside continuation. So who's ever short up here, they think they got it. You've got other people that are going to watch like hourly and potentially even 4 hour supply from this point because you're finally dropping. So your emotional traders are going to dive into this thing head and feet first because they're going to be afraid it's going down now. So now I got to short it. They're early. I think they're early. So the way I would set my trade up is I would set my trade up just like this. I want 25 pips, so I would go 25.50 because here's the reality. Lately, the 10 pip stop losses for 20 pip targets have not been holding very good. You know what I'm saying? So whenever that's happening, you have to be able to adjust for the market. So I would set a 25 pip stop loss right there. And then I'd have a 2-to-1 risk to reward on the trade. So this is how I would set that trade up. Now, I don't like the short because it's currently squeezing. You know what I'm saying? Like the yen is currently doing a squeeze. It's squeezing out longs. The USD JPY is squeezing shorts. So I don't necessarily love the opposite trade yet because it's only been squeezing for 1 to 3 days. Yeah. Today is day number 3 on the squeeze. Day number 3. So taking a short on this, I think, is still a little bit premature. But if I was going to, this is how I'd set it up. I'd want to see these emotional, I'm going to miss it traders get smoked. Then I would take the entry. Because you know they're going to be diving on it. Look, it's the first bearish engulfing candle you've gotten on the 4-hour chart since the yearly opening range. It's just been straight up. So anybody that's been getting beaten down by trying to short, they're going to see this now and they're going to dive in head first. They're going to be like, nuh-uh, bitch, you've already stopped me out 4 times. I'm not missing this trade. And they're going to get in again. And guess what? They're going to get stopped out again. And then that's where we look to attack it. Because that's usually how it works, right? So if I was going to short it, I would wait for these people to get smoked. Then I would jump into the short. As far as looking for a long, I can't until it gets closer to the 21 exponential. And it needs to build in at least a day or 2 of support. That's all the way down here. So I can't buy an extended trade like this. It's too extended. I need a pullback. And then I can look for the higher low support to form. But I think that's how I would play it to the downside if I was going to play it. Right there. Yeah. I'm not going to do that. So please, I need to make sure you understand that. I am not shorting it, but if I was, I would set it up just like this and forget it. Set it, forget it. Because there's still 1 day left on this week. So it would be an absolute beautiful thing to watch tomorrow morning as Aussie Yen gets smoked again and then rolls over. It would be funny. It would be sad and depressing for some, but for some it would be funny. Yeah. Just stop trying to short things that are extremely bullish. You know what I mean? It's that simple. If you're the one that, if you're hearing my voice and you're thinking to yourself, I'm the one I've literally done that. I've done exactly what he just said. Stop doing that. It's that simple. You can stop doing that. It's only, you won't become profitable until you do. All right. You guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Make sure you guys trade safe, trade smart, and as always, happy trading, everybody.